Hi, I'm Jess Pressland, the CEO of the JP Group. I've been developing managers for over 20 years. In this podcast, I'm going to be sharing my stories and insights to where leaders get it wrong and what they can do to get it right, wherever you are in your leadership journey. In this episode, we're talking about how you become a leader. First of all, I think there's a misconception on what leadership actually is. So I'd like to start off by just talking about the difference between management and leadership. So management is a position of authority, and leadership is about having followers. People make a choice to follow you as a leader. So for people to follow you, you need to behave in a certain way. And one of these behaviors is being a role model. So I'll share a story with you. When I worked with a gentleman, I will change his name, and for this I can go call him Peter. And I worked with Peter, and I knew Peter really wanted to be a great leader, and he was doing lots right. But in practice, he wasn't being a role model when he thought he was. He worked for a business where it was really important that they took a lunch break. It was something that the MD thought was really important. They had a breakout space for people. Their offices were in a town, so they encouraged people to go for a walk and take that break. I knew that Peter sat at his desk for lunch. And when I was training one of his sessions, he had one of his managers who reported into him on the program, and she was quite new to the business. So I said to her, I'll call her Claire, how do you feel about taking lunch? And she looked at Peter and said, oh, I feel guilty. And his face was like mortified, because what he was doing was saying, we take lunch break here. We have an hour for lunch. I don't take it, by the way, but you can. So the rest of his team felt guilty for taking that break. Now, that was not his intention, and I'm really pleased that it's such a small change that now he sits in the communal area at lunchtime, or he goes for a walk, because that's role modelling. And it's something that I do for my team. I also really believe in taking a lunch break, and I take one and I wear it with a badge of honour, and I insist on my team taking one as well. Get out, get some fresh air, take a break, role model that behaviour. Another time where I see role modelling not happening is usually around times of change. To be a role model, you have to be positive about change. So when you've got everyone in your team moaning about it and they're saying things like, oh, it won't work, it's never going to work, it's going to take so much longer, and I can't believe they're doing this. As a leader, you cannot get in there with them and moan too. That's not role modelling. With change, particularly organisational change, all of the moaning doesn't make any difference. The change is going to happen anyway. What they need to do as a leader to role model the behaviour is that they need to acknowledge how those people are feeling. So that's a reality. I appreciate that this is going to be a learning for you. I appreciate this is going to be difficult for you. They appreciate that. But what they're there to do is to support people moving forward. For an example, when my team, we went through COVID, I can't believe we're still talking about COVID, how many years on, but anyway, my team didn't want to go remote. They didn't want to deliver online training. And I couldn't go, oh, I know. It's not going to work. It's not going to be as good, and it won't be interactive. I had to, as the role model, be the person that was, okay, so we don't know how to use these. So what do you need from me? You want to learn how to use the system? How can we make it interactive? Because whether I liked it or not, I couldn't change the government's decision to make everyone work from home. But I had a team of people that didn't want to do it. And the end goal was them being fully integrated the new way, which was teaching online. So I had to support them to learn and to make changes and have their input into how we were going to make it interactive. Sitting and moaning about it just keeps us stuck. And leaders need to take things and drive things forward. So you have to, even if you agree with them, perhaps have to do that privately. That was my husband, by the way. That was the conversation. Oh, Steve, it's not going to work. I've not said that to my husband, but to my team, it's like, okay, so what are we going to do? How are we going to make it work to move it forward? And then relatively quickly, they then tried it out. And what happened? They tried it out and they were like, oh, Jess, it isn't that bad. Then they became so fully integrated working the new way that actually when we opened up, could I get them up and down the country? No, I couldn't. And we had to go through that process all over again. So this is about you role modelling. So we can't moan with them. We need to acknowledge their feelings and move them on from there. The other behaviours that's really important in becoming a leader is that you're calm under pressure. You show empathy to other people. You need to have consistency, and consistency to build trust. What we're doing here is that you need to be a leader that does what they say they're going to do. So if you say you're going to have a one-to-one with someone, if you say you're going to support them and help them, you must do that. And what it isn't is that you say these promises. Yes, we'll have regular one-to-ones. Oh, and then 3 months later, they haven't had one. And then you break the trust. So your behavior of doing what you say you're going to do is really important. There's another behavior around humility, and I actually cringe when I see this in practice. So when I see a leader who takes credit for other people's work, oh, it's a big bugbear for me. But actually what you need to do is it's like sharing the credit. Like if someone in your team does well, you're not, oh, thank you. You're like, oh yeah, they did an amazing job with this, right? Give credit where's credit due. You don't need to know and be the expert in everything. So that humility is really important, and you very quickly lose followers if you're not demonstrating these behaviors, because they follow you because you give them credit. They follow you because you're a role model. They follow you because you show empathy. They follow you because you're consistent, and they trust you because you will do what you say you're going to do. Two other behaviors that I'll mention. One is around being courageous. And what we mean here is that leaders do need to make tough decisions sometimes, and your followers will look to you to know that actually when the going gets tough, you're there and you can make a decision. The other one is around knowing your competency. And I think a lot of leaders fail on this one because they think, I'm a leader. I need to be the smartest person in the room. Actually, as a leader, you're going to employ the smartest people. So my team is made up of experts. And I would encourage people to think that actually as you develop in your career, you actually probably lose your expertise because you might have been the doer. And I see a lot of these are people who are promoted into leadership. They want to hold on to everything because they want to keep doing all the doing. But actually, in reality, when you become a manager, you stop doing less of the doing. And your people need to do that, which means they are going to become smarter and better at it than you. So to become a leader, you need to be really aware of your behavior and look at some of those core behaviors that I've talked about in this episode and really think, how am I turning up and how am I demonstrating them? Thank you for listening to this episode. Visit our website, thejpgroup.org, the podcast page, where you can download our workbook that accompanies this series for you to take what you've heard and put it into practice.